Welcome to Forensic Friday,
where we examine the intersection of true crime, psychology, and the heart of being human in the middle of it all. Well, hello, buddy. I just sprung this on Nat. I thought I was going to be leaving at 6:30,
6:30.
but I forgot that I had a 6:30. So remember the part where I don't take medication for my ADHD? We may be changing that.
Yeah, I think that would be good for you.
I think I lost our mics.
She's literally like, "Hey, we got to
Double booked
record tonight."
myself. Yeah, my brain is all over the place. But I should say I did get a promotion.
Yeah,
So
you did.
I'm now the clinical director at Southeast, which is so exciting.
It's awesome. There's no one better for it.
And Nat's moving on up in the world too. When she comes back from baby, she's
Mhm.
going to be running the forensic program. So
Mhm.
that's pretty exciting. We've accomplished an awful lot this year. We'll be
Oh,
doing some more reflection in the next couple weeks.
both moved up in the world,
We're moving on up.
and
So
I'm going to be a mom at some point.
any day.
Also, pray for me, y'all, because she is freaking breech again.
We need her to move. She just decides to flip at will.
It's
Where do you think her head is right now? Can you feel it?
It's either in that center spot
Uh-huh.
or I can't tell.
I know it's hard.
I don't know. I had a weird dream last night though that she flipped because she moves a bunch when I'm sleeping
Yeah.
and it wakes me up and then I don't get any sleep, which is why I was like,
Oh, you were so tired today.
I was
Yes.
exhausted. You were like, you could take a nap while you wait. I was like, I will be asleep. Like there's no nap happening.
If I lay down to nap, I will see you at noon tomorrow.
Yes, I will not wake back up for recording. Yeah, no. So she'll move around a bunch, really, and I start feeling it at like 3 a.m. So I wake up
Oh,
at like 3.
yeah.
It's crazy.
She's just warming you up for that newborn life.
I know. No, no, for real.
Uh-huh.
It's crazy. But I had a dream that she flipped, so I'm hoping that my dream was real.
Pregnant ladies have all the dreams, and I think sometimes they're like a little prophetic, things sometimes line up that way.
Yeah, I mean, before I knew I was pregnant, I dreamt that I was pregnant
That is true. I remember you telling me that.
like a week before.
Well, we have a couple updates for you guys tonight.
Well,
So,
hold on. Before we do that, I got a question for you because technically it's April Fool's.
oh, yes.
So, what is the best April Fool's that's either been played on you or that you've done?
Great question. I am really, really easy to fool sometimes. So like my
Mm.
clinical forensic side, you just can't knock me over or fool me. It's real hard.
Mhm.
Me in my everyday life with my people, my parents threw me like 3 surprise parties in a row in high school. One year my friends were parked all up and down the street and I just didn't even see it. It was like so people have always loved to do surprise things for me because I just don't figure it out, which is kind of great. So with that, I don't know that I've ever been pranked on April 1st before.
Oh, really?
I've been pranked in my life, of course, but I don't think I've ever had an April Fool's on me, ever.
Really?
Mm-mm. And I haven't played one because I don't like mess with people like that because I know it's going to come back my way.
Yeah, I'm not clever enough to do it.
Me neither, and I just don't care. Like some
Yeah.
people think pranks are the greatest thing ever. Oh, I will say though, we had a friend who would torture my roommate and I in college, and he would like do the whole scream. And I've told you I hate the scream thing. I don't like when you come bang on my door. Like, if you do that, you may not leave alive. It's just the way that it is. I worry
Right.
about these things. So, my roommate, who is tiny, even
Hmm.
shorter than you, she's like 4'10",
Oh
something like
gosh.
that. I mean, tiny, tiny, tiny. She would get up on a chair to see out the peephole and
Hmm.
she would like grab a butcher's knife and stand up on that thing and look through the peephole because they'd be banging on the door at 1 o'clock in the morning, like weird stuff.
Okay.
So we had the idea one time to have her prank this guy back. And she was going to put on a white nightie, hide in his closet because we had his roommate in on it, hide in his closet, pull her hair all in front of her face like the Ring.
Oh gosh.
We had his TV set so it would be static.
Okay.
So she was going to climb out in the middle of the night, hit the button for the TV. It was going to come up static, and then she was going to crawl to him in the bed.
Oh my gosh, that's so
I
creepy.
know. And so we got really close to doing it, and then we were like, he's going to die. He's going to have a heart attack and die, and I don't want that on my conscience. So we didn't actually do it.
Okay.
But then we told him about it, and he was like, I would have died.
That's hilarious.
I would have just died. And this particular friend has a very girly scream. It was a guy. And his
Okay.
scream was like, oh! And I was really looking forward to that.
That's so
But we just
funny.
couldn't risk him dying. But I did put peanut butter in his shoes one time.
Oh, that's
But it was
good.
not on April 1st.
Oh.
I know.
So, yeah, I've never really played a good prank on April 1st, but my friend Sarah, who you know,
Oh, I love her.
her and I lived together for 4 years in college.
Uh-huh.
Okay. Every year she got me. Every single year.
You know you're good friends when you can live with somebody for 4 years.
Mm-hmm.
My roommate and I lived together for 4 years too.
Yeah.
What does that say about us? That says something good about us too.
I hope so. So she got me every year.
Mm.
One year I'm trying to think of where we were living.
Every year on April 1st.
Yeah, no, every single year.
That's incredible.
Oh yeah, no, she's done like all the things.
You should have put it in your calendar every April 1st. Sarah's going to get me. Don't believe it.
No, but it wasn't like tricking me. It was just like pranks.
Okay. Okay.
So, but the first one that she ever did, she did it with this guy named John. And so, okay, I got to paint the picture. So I had a 98 Jeep Grand Cherokee.
Oh my gosh, that's like the best.
No, I had the best millennial car.
Oh,
in
same.
high
I had the
school.
exact same car in green,
Oh yeah, no, mine was white.
sage green.
I love the green ones.
Oh,
Our roommate, so she lived with a different girl freshman year because I didn't go to
Uh-huh.
St. Boulder my freshman year. I went to Western.
yeah.
So freshman year, she lived with this other girl who had the same car as me, like the exact same car. We had the same car.
Oh my gosh.
So the next year, we lived on the hill. I think it was when we lived on the hill.
Yeah.
This girl and I had the same car. Still,
Did you live in a house?
no, we lived in an apartment. So we lived on 12th and College. So I am on campus.
Uh-huh.
Okay. I was taking some like evening classes that
Yeah.
semester for whatever reason. And I keep getting phone calls.
Oh no.
Phone call after phone call. And this was before I had a smartphone.
Oh my gosh.
Okay, so I like could not turn my phone off because every time someone would call, every time I tried to turn it off, I was like ending a call. That makes sense because there were so many calls coming in.
Right?
Okay. So I keep ending these calls and then finally I just take the battery out of my phone because I'm taking a test and my teacher's getting mad.
Oh my gosh.
Professor's like, turn your phone off. Why does it keep buzzing? And I'm like, I am doing the best I can.
You're like, I have no idea what's going on.
Yes.
Yeah.
So I finally just take the battery out, put it away, get my test done,
Yeah.
walk out, and I answer one of the calls. And it's this guy. And he's like, hey, and I also have like 1,000 text messages.
Oh.
Okay. So it's this guy, and he's like, hey, is your Jeep still for sale? And I was like, no, my Jeep is not for sale. And I was like, what? And he was like, yeah, your Jeep is on Craigslist
Oh,
for
no.
like $1,200. And I mean, it was like exactly my Jeep, except they had the description was like new stereo system,
Oh yeah.
new stuff that wasn't true, but
Yeah.
made it really appealing.
Yes.
And I was like, no, my Jeep is not for sale. And he was like, oh, and then he like paused for a second. He goes, oh, I know what's going on. And I was like, what's going on? Because I'm not computing
So
that
you're talking to this stranger about what's happening to you.
yes, I'm not computing that it's April 1st.
Oh no.
Okay. And also I'm just getting out of this test, right?
Right.
So he's like, someone put your car on Craigslist for an April Fool's joke. And I was like, oh my gosh.
Did you think Sarah? Was that your first thought?
No.
Oh.
No, because she hadn't done April Fool's yet. This was like our first year living together.
So you really didn't see it coming at all.
I did not see this coming.
Mm-mm.
So I'm like, what? And he's like, yeah. And then this guy was hilarious. He was like, yeah, we did it to our friend one year, but we actually put him on Craigslist.
How much were you charging for him?
Yeah, I didn't ask. But he was like, but it was, and I was like, oh my God, that's a vibe. That's a
So,
whole vibe.
like, as a prostitute or a
No, like the
masseuse?
date.
I think they go as they have dating on Craigslist?
Yes.
Because
I
I
don't know.
know the massage thing is highly questionable. Typically, some kind of sex work and a mixture of probably drugs and sex
Oh,
work.
that's terrifying. No,
Yeah.
yeah, there's like a dating part, I think, on Craigslist.
Oh my
So they
God.
put him on that. So anyway,
That's wild.
so he's like, someone put your car on Craigslist. So I'm sorry that happened to you. And I was like, I'm sorry, my car's not for sale.
I love that this person
Helped
took the
me.
time out of his day to help you know what was happening.
He was probably my age. Like he
Oh,
sounded
yeah.
like he was in his 20s.
He's like, oh,
So,
sucks.
and I literally was like, there's no way. And Sarah's going to kill me if she listens to this. But she's
She
a
listens to
super
every
smart
one of
girl.
them, so she's going to have an opinion.
I don't know if she does. She's a super smart girl, but I was like, there's no way she's this clever. Like, there's no way.
You
She would have,
underestimated her.
but I was like, she would have never thought of this ever
Yeah,
in a million years. Especially like the description, because the guy read me the description and I was like, there's no way she would have done this.
totally.
And I was like, maybe Lyra did it because she has the same car, but who knows? So I'm
Yeah.
like racking my brain. And then I finally was like, Sarah had to do it because there's no one else that would have done this. So I get home and oh no, we weren't living on the hill. We were living somewhere else. Anyway, it doesn't matter.
Yeah.
So I get home and I like fling the door open and I was like,
honey, I'm home.
no, yeah, that was not what I said. I was like, what did you do? I was like, my phone has been blowing up for hours. I was in a test. I'm like yelling at her.
Oh, yeah.
I'm in a test, blah, blah, blah. And she's like scared, like deer in headlights.
Oh, yeah.
And then I stormed to my room and then I come back out and I'm like, okay, it's pretty funny. But like, honestly though, my phone, it was still ringing, Janine. It was still ringing.
And you don't know how to shut it down at this point. Like, you don't know how to pull it off Craigslist.
It's not under my email.
Right. Yeah. You can't get to it.
So it was actually under our friend John's email.
Oh.
So John had called Sarah and goes, hey, let's put Natalie's car on Craigslist. And she goes, oh my God, this is genius. So it wasn't technically her idea, but she was game. Okay.
Oh my gosh.
So John's out partying because it's in the evening. He's out on the hill or Pearl Street or something.
He's doing whatever he's doing, whatever we were all doing.
And not answering his phone. So my car was on Craigslist for like a whole day and
You didn't
night.
go hunt him down?
We didn't know where he was. He wasn't answering.
Oh.
So anyway, that was the funniest one that's ever been played on me. Every year after that, she got me. There was one year where she did a bunch of things. She sheeted my bed, which was like the last thing I found out. Do you know what short sheet means?
Yes.
Okay. So she short sheeted my bed. She took all my light bulbs out of my room. She froze.
Sheeting my bed would make me big mad just because by the time I get to bed,
well, that's why
I'm ready to be in bed.
So here's the thing. So she froze my car key. I was late to work because she froze my car key. I get home from work and all my light bulbs are out of my room. So I can't see because it's dark. So I finally get all my lights back. She is such
I wish I could have seen this happen to you because
it was terrible.
You are hilarious when calamity strikes. It's one of my favorite things.
I'm not okay. I don't regulate.
Profane.
I don't regulate well.
You kind of walk in circles a little bit.
Yes.
It's very fun to watch.
We'll be right back. Persons of Interest is back, and it's bigger than ever.
That scream will echo in my head for many years.
Taser! 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 He's gonna shoot! Oi! Shot fired! Shots fired! Shots fired! Stay out! You got a gun on you!
He had the perfect aim.
I am absolutely stressed at that point. I have no idea where my officers are.
Persons of Interest available everywhere you get your podcasts.
Yeah.
So I'm like trying to find my way in my room. It's super dark.
Oh my gosh, you must have been so irritated.
Oh, I was.
And then you get in bed and your bed's all screwed up.
Well, then I open my computer and it's this cat laughing, saying, "Gotcha." And I'm like, oh my God, I'm going to kill her. And so then I finally get all my stuff in order, get into bed, and my bed is short sheeted. Oh, I was like, I'm done.
She's a pro.
Oh, she is a pro.
You know what? We need to collab on some payback.
Mm-hmm. I'm so down.
We can come up with something. We're smart girls.
I know.
I'm going to chat GPT it.
Yes, that always helps.
Sarah back.
Yes. What is the best prank for April Fool?
We got to get Sarah back.
So anyway, she was always a menace on April Fools. I'm glad I don't live with her anymore.
Sarah, watch your P's and Q's, baby. We're coming for you.
I know, right?
Mm-hmm. Head on a swivel.
I'm gonna put her apartment on Craigslist. Roommate, looking for a roommate.
Absolutely.
She would kill me. That'd be so funny. I'm doing it.
You keep your ideas to yourself until we're together next, because we gotta put this plan in motion.
No, we got a year.
I will avenge you.
We got a year.
Absolutely.
Think about it.
All right. I will say though, I love her. She's great.
I know she's great. So anyway, I had to share that. Okay, we have updates.
So
do you want to start?
I have one real quick, just because we did Karen Reed. So her trial, is starting. I don't know the exact day. It's this month though. It's in April this month.
We've gotten some comments on our Instagram.
Oh, fabulous. I haven't even looked. That's great. It's such an interesting case right now. And honestly, Nat, I don't know. Even after watching that documentary, I really am torn on what I think happened. So guess who the defense hired as a consultant?
Oh God, who?
Their defense this time around.
Who?
A former juror.
Oh, shoot.
I didn't even know they could do that, but you can technically do that. Is that not so genius?
That is
because
smart.
they're going to get the inner story on what was happening during the deliberations on both sides. So like what stories resonated with the people who ended up siding with Karen, and what were the biggest concerns of the people who thought she was guilty. So they're going to have this kind of inside the jury perspective, which I just thought that was so smart. I think her defense team's really smart anyway. I thought they were so impressive, and the prosecution is like, they're not good at all. It was embarrassing, honestly. The prosecution was kind of embarrassing.
I gotta be honest with you.
Yeah.
I don't think she hit him.
I don't know. Here's the thing that throws me a little bit.
Or if she did, I don't think that's what killed him.
That's what I think. So I have thoughts like maybe she did hit him. He went into the party, got in a fight with somebody, or the dog attacked him or something. He stumbles out of the house and freezes to death because they were all drunk.
Yeah.
So I mean, I could see something like that. But the injuries that he had are not all consistent with an accident.
He didn't have broken bones from a car.
Well, no, and no injuries below the waist, even though if he got hit by the car, he would have been hit. I mean, we all get in cars every day. If you get hit by the taillight of a car.
It was mostly his face and his arm.
It was mostly his face and his arm. It just doesn't make sense. He would have had to bend over and put his head right in front of the car and get hit.
Maybe that's what happened. Who knows?
I just really doubt that, but I don't know. And they were so drunk, it's just hard to know. And there's definitely some level of cover up. I really do believe that.
Yeah.
So I don't know. But I'm kind of with you. It's hard to believe that's what killed him.
Yeah, I don't think it is.
What do our listeners think?
They didn't say anything of what they think. They just said that the case is insane.
Yeah, it is. It's a really interesting case.
So, yeah.
And then you have an update too.
Well, yeah, it's not really an update. It's more, kind of. So Preston's been trying to get me/us to listen to the Armie Hammer podcast.
Well, Preston wants to do an episode a month where he takes devil's advocate position and sees what happens. And I don't think this will be good for our friendship.
I agree.
I love him to death, and he's so smart.
I know.
But I am competitive. You are competitive. We have a tendency to agree, not always, but we tend to agree with things. And he
Well, especially
loves
when it comes to people like Armie Hammer.
well, and we work together every day. We have similar experiences.
Mhm.
I think that press is so adversarial and so smart. I think it would be intense.
It would be.
So maybe we'll do it at some point. But he wants us to really look at this Armie Hammer thing.
It does. And I kind of get why. I haven't finished it yet.
Yeah.
So I listened to one. So there's 3 different episodes he wanted us to listen to.
Okay.
One is where he is a guest on a podcast. Here, I'll just name it.
Yeah, will you text it to me too? Because I'll check them out so that when we record, I'll have the same background.
So the one that he texted me on about, or the first one, is when he's a guest on a podcast that's called, let me look here, Your Mom's House with Christina P. and Tom Segura.
Okay.
Tom Segura.
Okay.
So he's on, and it's an episode with Armie Hammer. He like comes in at like 41 minutes. If you guys want to listen to it.
Yeah.
I don't know what the first 41 minutes are of. I just started with when Armie Hammer started.
Yeah.
Which is 41 minutes in.
Okay.
It's a long episode. So I'm still listening to that one. I listened to part 1 of when Armie Hammer has his mom on his own podcast.
Okay.
There's 2 parts.
Okay.
So I haven't listened to part 2. What I will say, from what I've listened to so far in the one that he has his mom on, is he is, I think, and I haven't listened to any other episodes, so this is like a very naive statement.
Yeah.
At least this episode, and probably part 2, is kind of him using this as his therapy.
Okay.
So my question, and we'll do like a different mini on this, and maybe we'll use more of this, his examples from his podcast.
Yeah.
But my thought is, can people really heal and change when they're so far down a certain hole?
That's a great question.
You know?
Yeah.
When they've hit a certain type of rock bottom.
What do you think?
I think they can. I think it takes a lot of work.
Takes a lot of work.
But what's interesting about part 1, at least, because that's the one that I listened to fully.
Yeah.
Is, here, I'm going to actually quote some of it because it's fascinating.
Oh, yeah. Well, and you know, we got big feelings about him. So,
We do.
I mean, he bit a chunk out of a woman. So I have thoughts.
Well, I don't know if he bit a chunk. He carved a chunk. He carved, he
But
carved
he did bite a chick too.
Oh, yeah, he did. He bit a lot of chicks.
Yeah. And then listen, it's not great. Listen to our 2-part Armie Hammer. Fun fact, our Armie Hammer episode has had well over 1,000 downloads.
Oh, it's one of our most popular ones.
It's one of our most popular ones, and we have 2 of them. So we have part 1 and part 2, and you got to listen to both.
Yes.
Because the first part is all the family history, and the second part is really specific to Armie.
Yes. So I'm not going to get into like the whole thing of this because we don't have enough time, but
yeah,
what I will say is his mom's on this episode. Mom is a massive Christian. Like obviously I love Jesus.
Yeah.
Borderline a little uncomfortable.
That makes sense on some level.
Because he's really open about how, so they were estranged for a little bit because he literally said, I needed a mom and you were being a pastor.
Okay.
And remember, he was molested by a youth pastor in the Christian church. So his relationship with Christianity is very, very broken.
Oh, which makes sense. Yeah.
And traumatizing.
Yeah.
So I give him that, right? Like he has a significant sexual history.
Yes.
What I found interesting was at the very end. Okay, I'm going to just say this, and then we'll do a whole nother probably full episode on again. But what I found interesting was at the end of this episode, Armie's mom gets a little defensive. Okay. And she basically says, sorry, I wasn't the fun mom that went out and partied with you and did drugs with you. And that's like not at all what Armie was talking about. Okay. He was like, that's not what I'm saying.
He was saying I needed a mom Who would listen.
almost verbatim.
Yeah.
Then he chimed in and said, that's not what I'm saying. I never said I want a fun mom who parties with me. What I'm saying is I would like a mom who sees me for who I am and accepts me for who I am.
Mm.
So I'm sitting here listening and I'm like, I think Armie's trying. I'm going to do put it out here. If I was doing a family session with Armie Hammer and his mom,
Yes.
I would sit there and I'd be like, okay, I see you.
I see you. Yeah.
I see you. And I see
Everyone's coming from somewhere.
and I see that you're trying to heal.
Yeah. And everyone wants to be accepted. Here's my beef, though. And this will be the question.
Insanity. Yeah.
You don't typically have change without really strong accountability. And that's true for any changes we're trying to make.
Yes.
So the interesting thing with Armie, and we'll get more into it after we've done more listening to his stuff, that would be my biggest benchmark for somebody like Armie Hammer is how accountable are you?
Yes. So and I haven't finished the episode that he's a guest on, but he talks. They ask him a bunch of questions, and I will be honest with you. And I told Preston this as I'm walking out to the office to do this episode with you.
Yeah.
I said, I think he's still insane.
Well, and this is the thing. Okay, so he's going out on this podcast. He's trying to kind of
He's trying to come back.
Reinvent, come back, call it whatever you want to call it.
Yes.
The problem is I have not yet heard true accountability and remorse for the way that he hurt those women. And he hurt those women. There's no question in my mind.
He did.
I understand it's alleged and he doesn't have a criminal rap sheet for it, but it is very credible. I'm sorry. Their experiences are credible. I believe they happened.
Oh, I do too.
So the thing that's hard about it is I, of course, believe people can change. Our entire careers are based on the fact, especially in forensics, that people can change, and we see it every day. So I don't want to come in too hot on the he can't change. The sexual pieces are even harder to change. I will just say they're compulsive and they're hard to change.
Well, especially with the trauma he's experienced.
Yes, the trauma he's experienced. And without accountability, it's really hard to have change.
Well, and so what I said, here's the thing. And he actually acknowledges this in the episode that I'm still listening to.
Yeah.
He said, here, I'll quote it really fast.
Oh, yeah.
He said, I think I wrote it down. Maybe I didn't. Oh, yeah. Okay. He said, I was playing fast and loose. And I'm not saying he took accountability here. Okay. I'm saying he's acknowledging something.
Okay.
I was playing fast and loose. I was being a selfish asshole. I was using people to make me feel better. People were my bags of dope with skin on it.
Okay, he's still weird. That's a very weird way to say that.
Well, here's the thing. The two people who are the hosts of the podcast are pretty freaking weird too.
Yeah, but that's such a weird way to say that.
No, I know. But I'm just
especially when you've been accused of,
No, I know. It's super weird.
Knife play.
Yes. So he's basically and then he talked about how he would like quote unquote like scoop, like he was like, I would scoop these women up, I would and do all this stuff, and I would take them on this whirlwind of insanity basically for like a month, and then he would bail and then do it to the next person. And so these women were coming out, this is what he said, okay, these women were coming out of this experience of like, what the heck just happened? All the boundaries were pushed / crossed.
Does he say the boundaries were crossed?
No.
Interesting.
But he does talk about just basically like, they were hit like basically in the side of the head with him. And so he said, and I'm not saying like he didn't say it that well, to be honest.
No, totally. Yeah.
But then he said, he alluded to like, he doesn't know. Because he talks about, he's like, there is a part of me that is, his sexuality is just super kinky, which you and I have our own theories about BDSM and all that stuff.
Well, and he's dripping with trauma.
So he says, there was some of it that was coming out of trauma.
Sure.
And there's some of it that was coming out of his genuine, in his brain, his genuine sexuality.
Yeah.
And I'm like, you know what?
Does he acknowledge impact to those people, though, beyond getting hit by the force of nature that is Armie Hammer?
That's literally where I stopped, so I don't know.
So
Question.
we'll come back to that because that would be my question. Accountability for impact or
Yes.
explaining what happened with a tinge of
Yes.
accountability because,
Yes.
my psychopathy antenna goes up when you've hurt this many people
Yes.
and you're reinventing yourself. And so he knows he's got to own it a little. Let's see how far he goes.
Here's the thing.
Mm-hmm.
I think it's option 2.
Yeah.
I don't think he's going to sit there and really take full ownership of the pain that he caused some of these women.
And the thing that makes me sad about that is like Armie Hammer, if you ever hear this, because, we'll probably tag you. So if you ever hear this,
He might.
you are a person. You have inherent value as a human being. You've been hurt. You deserve healing and support and acceptance.
Mm-hmm.
You also got some changing to do.
Yep.
And so it starts with accountability.
Yep. Acknowledgement and accountability.
Yeah, absolutely.
So here's the thing. That's my update on Armie Hammer. I finally was like, you know what? I'm going to listen to this because I'm going to go walk and try to get this baby to flip and also go into labor.
Love this.
Nice. So I was listening to it and I was like, I still think he's nuts.
Mm-hmm.
I still think there's high levels of psychopathy.
When you say nuts, which is shorthand for clinical issues, but also I think when you really look at this picture, traumatized, dangerous,
super dangerous.
So I don't want that to get lost in the sauce because people just love a good story. Mm-hmm. And I could see him telling a real good story. And so,
Yeah, my encouragement is if you like Armie Hammer, that's great. Like, I agree. I think he has intrinsic value, inherent value.
Yes, absolutely.
And I think, I do think my genuine hope and prayer for him is that he has done some healing for himself.
Because he has
kids. I mean, he has kids.
He needs healing.
He needs healing. My encouragement to all of you is to do both. Listen to these podcasts because I think it's helpful, but also go watch there are like 3 different documentaries that you and I spent time in.
Oh yeah.
Go listen or go watch all the documentaries. Listen to our episodes. We dive into all of that.
We do.
And also his trauma history is insane.
Well, and we have a genogram. I mean, we have a literal genogram that Nat worked on and gave us the whole history, the intergenerational trauma.
Yes.
I mean, he makes sense. He's coming from somewhere.
Makes total sense.
He just has to make a decision to choose something different, which you and I work with that every single day with our guys.
That's what I was telling Preston. I said, Press, because he didn't watch the documentaries. He just listened to this. So he's coming from a perspective where he's like, hey, this guy's really trying to heal. He's also not a forensic therapist.
No. We have a very different brain.
We do.
We're like, okay, so with a psychopathic individual, if we even suspect psychopathy, baseline, I don't believe you.
Right.
This is not Rogerian therapy where someone comes in and it's like, oh, you are just so, it's like this warm, fuzzy listen fest. That is not forensic, particularly assessment of a psychopathic individual. It is like rapid fire question. And we are kind. We treat people with dignity. But we're assessing from the minute they walk into our office. And I assume they're lying to me because you have to, or you get absolutely played.
Well, and if you have a rap sheet like Armie Hammer.
Yes.
You know what I mean? So, but I told Press, I said, most, not all, but most of the people we work with have trauma in domestic violence and being abused.
Absolutely.
They recreate the wheel. They redo it. They are living their trauma out. That is what I do believe Armie Hammer did.
Well, and one of my pet passions projects is there's a huge correlation between domestic violence and sexual violence.
Absolutely.
So my issue with somebody like Armie Hammer with the number of victims he has, and again, allegedly, whatever, but even he's admitting to racking these women up, one and then the other and then the other, right?
Yes. Mm-hmm.
If half of what these women said is true, half of it, he's a little bit of a sex offender.
Mm-hmm.
Right? But we don't think that's the clinical forensic brain, right? So I'm not labeling him a sex offender. But what I'm saying is the pathology is in that realm. It just
Yeah.
is.
Well, and this
And
goes
the
into
treatment for that is complex.
complex. Well, and this gets into, the C's, right? Compliance versus coercion, compliance, and consent,
Mhm.
right? So,
Coercion, compliance, and consent.
and I think what happened, and this is what I was telling Preston, I said, I think what happened is a lot of these women fell into compliance.
Yes. Many, many.
Many, because one, he's a famous figure.
Oh, yeah.
Two, you're alone in a car with him or some hotel. What are you gonna say?
Yeah, you're stuck.
Like, no. And if he's that forceful, and whether he's living out from his sexual fantasy versus his trauma, they're not therapists. They can't sit there and be like, oh, he's living out of his trauma right now. If I say no, this could be dangerous, or he's actually living out of this sexual fantasy. And if I say no, he might listen.
Mm-hmm.
Right. Cause that was kind of how he didn't say this, but that's kind of what I was getting is like
Mm-hmm.
when it was a trauma response,
Mm-hmm.
that's when it was really, really ugly. When it was a sexual response, he could have listened to no.
Yes.
Right. And so, but they're not going to know that.
Yeah.
And that's not up to them to know. I will say he did say he worked with some psychologists who I didn't love what the psychologist said, and we'll have to get into that a whole nother time. But he said he was working with some psychologists. It was basically like, unless it's not, if it's not a hell yes, it's a fuck no.
Yes.
So he learned that meter.
Yes.
If it's not, I am fully in. If it's like, yeah, okay, sure, I'll try it. That's a F no.
Here's the problem with somebody like him. What do you think I'm going to say?
I don't know.
They're not going to tell him.
No, absolutely
They're not going to tell him. Remember that thing that happened with Aziz Ansari? I think that's his name. But there was this woman came out with like this article about him and how she felt all of this pressure to sleep with him, and she kept trying to stop, and he kept kind of pressuring her, and what that dynamic was like. And he came out and said, okay, this is what was actually happening, though. How am I supposed to know?
Mm-hmm.
And so these things are complex, but with somebody like Armie Hammer, he needs such express consent at this point.
Yeah.
And he's going to have a hard time getting it.
Yeah.
Because I think part of the problem is a lot of the women, like you said, did just comply.
Yeah.
So I do think maybe he'll improve a little if they're clearly uncomfortable and say it, he will stop, which he did not do before.
No, and I hope he does do that.
But is he going to get far enough to do the work to avoid putting women in the positions that they were in where they were uncomfortable? I'm not sure.
Yeah.
I'm not sure. We'll have to see.
Mm-hmm.
Thank you for giving us that update, because I am fascinated by this.
Yeah.
And we'll do that episode pretty soon, probably after baby.
Mm-hmm.
Baby's coming any day.
Any day.
Any day.
Y'all.
This Friday, we've got Lori Daybell Vallow.
Mm-hmm.
So on the note of change, these two people, they're going to have to do all their changing in prison, but you'll hear more about it on Friday.
It's crazy.
My mom was so funny the other day. She's like, you wouldn't ever want to like work in a prison, would you? And I was like, yeah, but no. You know what I mean? Like
I would love to do psychological evaluations.
That's what I mean. Yeah, I don't want to do therapy in prison. That's just not something I'm looking to do. But do I think that the folks in there, and one of the things I love about people is when they have redemption in prison, when they actually decide to live in a situation like that and not just let their entire existence fall away, but when they actually fight to find purpose and meaning in prison, those are some of the coolest people you'll ever meet.
Oh, I agree.
So anyway, we will see you on Friday. Be sure to catch up on our episodes. Go listen to Armie Hammer so you're prepared.
Both of them. Y'all, our Armie Hammer ones
they're real good.
People's favorites.
They're they're our two biggest episodes. Those and Wade Wilson is real big.
Mm-hmm.
But I think the Armie Hammer 1 and 2 are our biggest episodes ever.
Yep.
And people keep listening to them. That's the thing. So check them out. Even if you've heard them before, get a little refresher because when we do the update, you'll want to remember everything.
You will, yes. And then we'll take votes and talk about it on all the socials.
All right, friends. We'll see you next week. Well, we'll see you Friday. As
Yeah,
always.
we'll see you Friday. Bye, forensic friends.
I'm Janine.
And I'm Nat.
And as always, thanks for listening and join us next week for more crime, psychology, and heart.